Watch more Quarantine Time on YouTube or WeeklyReviewer.com, a fresh source of news and reviews. Launching from Earth to the outer reaches of space, one individual reports live from our very own satellite, safe from coronavirus and political influence. Weekly Reviewer presents Quarantine Time. Welcome back to another episode of Quarantine Time. Today, we'll talk about the heated 2020 presidential debate and presidential election candidates. The election is on. Full speed ahead as voting has already begun in many states, with early voting and mail-in ballots due to the coronavirus pandemic. Unfortunately, the people are still learning and deciding about the two relatively controversial candidates. The end of September saw the first debate between Joe Biden and Donald J. Trump, the two leading parties' presidential candidates, with hot debate topics such as climate change, race, and the handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Many were looking forward to the candidates' allotted time to go over and explain their domestic and foreign policies for these and more major issues. Unfortunately, what started out with two candidates greeting each other rather courteously turned to a train wreck that we now know to be the first of three debates between the candidates. Between the nonsense of interruptions, obnoxious use of time, and overall ambiguous answers and policies from the current president, people were able to gather a few things about Donald Trump and Joe Biden, their plans as future president, and their ability to handle themselves on a public platform. It became clear after the debate that Donald Trump still has no comprehensive healthcare policy to deal with pre-existing conditions and low-income insurance and subsidies through the Affordable Care Act, which he still plans to massively cut next term. He also continues to back his decision to leave the Paris Climate Agreement and to appoint Amy Coney Barrett as the next Supreme Court judge. Unfortunately, the debate left a foul taste for most, as polls show Biden leading after Trump's obnoxious performance, and many consider Biden to have won the overall debate. While this is mostly opinion, it was clear that Donald Trump showed no respect for the agreed rules of the debate, interrupting during Biden's solo time, constantly begging to have the last word, and spreading rumors and lies discredited previously. One moment seemed to ultimately close the book for Republican senators who normally supported the president's antics with vague rationale or bigotry disguised as conservative values. And that was when Donald Trump, our current sitting president, refused to denounce white supremacy and white supremacists, and specifically a group known as the Proud Boys. Chris Wallace, the moderator of the Fox debate, asked Donald Trump to once and for all condemn white supremacists and hate groups that happen to also support him. Joe Biden egged him on, begging Trump to denounce them as well. Unfortunately, the words the president spoke weren't that of condemnation, but confusingly one of a military commandment, commanding their troops. "Stand back and stand by," he said, which you may think sounds a little like commands to watch and see, rather than a command to stop violent hate crimes and white supremacist values. The Proud Boys Trump referred to immediately took to their social media and merchandise to use the president's words as their new slogan. "Stand back and stand by" to them shows a clear approval of their violent activities and a push to continue their work. In fact, their recruitment is significantly up since the president's weird endorsement. So, what should we expect from the candidates in the upcoming debate? Well, the committee in charge of the presidential debates have heard the concern from the first debate and continue to hear more concerns as time goes on. They've since announced changes to the next debates, including directly muting the mics of candidates speaking out of turn, and even potentially giving the moderator power to mute candidates' mics as needed. Well, this may help reduce flying insults and interruptions, and may even lead to a more productive debate. Many issues from the first debate still remain unchanged. The biggest issue we've taken with the debate here at the Weekly Reviewer is the lack of fact-checking, because the people have no way of knowing the truth of what Donald Trump, or any candidate for that matter, says. The president's tactic was to attack Joe Biden with unfounded lies, previously discredited and still considered to be just rumor. A major talking point about the president was to attack Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. The attacks were centered around Joe Biden and his son's past, as Trump regularly brought up Hunter Biden's cocaine addiction and relapse, as well as his dismissal from the Navy, which Trump painted was a dishonorable discharge. There's no way to know how these next debates will turn out, but one thing is for certain. If the facts are continually ignored in these debates, it will be increasingly hard for voters to make an informed decision in the next month. With voting already open and threats of ending soon to finish counting votes on time, according to Trump and Republican lawmakers who want to disregard mail-in ballots, the primary method of voting for Democrats, which would also take quite a bit of time to count because of understaffed offices and a massive increase in mail-in ballots due to the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. Stay safe during this global pandemic, and if you live in the United States, make sure you vote. Whether you go in person or mail in a ballot, it's important you get your vote in now while early voting is still counted. Fill out your vote and double, triple check your information before sending it. That's our show tonight. Stay tuned for another episode of Quarantine Time on Weekly Reviewer.